My dear brothers and sisters, life is not always the way we plan it. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations that confuse us, break us, or make us question why things happened the way they did. But in every moment, whether easy or painful, Allah's plan is unfolding with perfect wisdom. The secret to peace is not found in controlling life, but in accepting that Allah controls it. When you truly surrender to His plan, everything begins to change, not necessarily around you, but within you. Today, let's reflect on 5 key reminders about accepting Allah's plan and how doing so can transform our hearts, our perspective, and our entire life. Surrendering to Allah's plan brings true peace, not defeat. Many of us confuse surrender with weakness. We think that accepting Allah's plan means giving up, but it's the opposite. True surrender is an act of strength, faith, and complete trust in the one who knows everything. When you stop fighting against what Allah has written for you, when you stop questioning every difficulty and instead say, I trust you, Ya Allah, something inside you changes. Your heart begins to rest. We live in a world where everyone wants control over their future, their relationships, their careers, their health. But no matter how much you plan, no matter how carefully you try to shape your life, things will still unfold according to Allah's will. You can plan, but Allah is the best of planners. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you cannot know, and He loves you more than you love yourself. When you surrender to His plan, it doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you try with your full effort, but you release the anxiety of outcome. You no longer carry the weight of fear or disappointment because you trust that what reaches you was written for you, and what passes you by was never meant to be yours. This is where peace lives, in submission, not in control. The Prophet said, know that what has passed you by was never going to befall you, and what has befallen you was never going to pass you by. This one hadith alone can free your heart from a lifetime of worry. Because once you understand that Allah is always in control, you stop asking, why me? And start saying, Alhamdulillah. Ya Allah, I know there's wisdom here. When you accept His plan, the storms still come, but you stop drowning in them. You learn to float. Because your faith becomes your anchor, you begin to see pain not as punishment, but as purification. You stop measuring life by what you lost and start appreciating what you gained through it: patience, wisdom, resilience, and a closer connection to Allah. Surrendering to Allah's plan doesn't change the circumstances, it changes you. It softens your heart, it strengthens your faith, and it teaches you that peace isn't found in having a perfect life, it's found in trusting a perfect Lord. In moments of waiting, it's easy to feel forgotten. You make dua, you work hard, and yet nothing seems to move. You watch others move ahead while you remain stuck in what feels like an endless season of silence. But the truth is, Allah's silence is never neglect. His delay is never denial. When things don't happen when you expect them to, it's because Allah is preparing you, not punishing you. Every delay in your life carries divine wisdom. Sometimes what you're asking for isn't ready for you. And sometimes you aren't ready for it. Allah's timing is perfect because He sees the entire picture while we only see one small moment. You might be praying for something that, if given too early, could harm you, break you, or pull you away from Allah, but He holds it back out of mercy because He knows what your heart can carry and what it cannot. Think about the life of Prophet Yusuf, A.S. He spent years in darkness, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned unjustly. If we looked at his life from one moment in time, it would seem unfair, delayed, and filled with hardship. But when we see the full story, we realize that every delay was preparing him for greatness, for leadership, wisdom, and reunion. The prison wasn't a punishment, it was a pathway. That's how Allah works. He delays what you want so He can deliver what you need. When Allah delays your blessing, He's also giving you time to grow into the person who can handle it. He is strengthening your faith, softening your heart, and teaching you patience. Because blessings are not just about receiving, they're about being ready to hold them with gratitude and wisdom. If he gave you everything you asked for the moment you wanted it, you might forget him once it arrived. So he teaches you through the wait. Humility, reliance, and trust. The Quran tells us, it may be that you dislike something which is good for you, and you love something which is bad for you. And Allah knows, while you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:160. This verse is a constant reminder that Allah's plan is not delayed, it's designed. Every pause, every silence, every unanswered dua is working in ways you can't yet see. You see, waiting isn't wasted time when it's done with faith. The delay itself becomes part of your blessing. Because during that waiting period, your duas become deeper, your connection to Allah becomes stronger, and your appreciation grows. One day, when what you've been praying for finally arrives, or when Allah replaces it with something better, you'll realize that the delay was never a loss. It was protection, preparation, and divine perfection. So, the next time you feel like your life is not moving, remember, Allah is still working. Just because you don't see results doesn't mean nothing's happening. The seed grows underground before it ever breaks the surface. Likewise, your duas are being written into your destiny long before they appear in your life. Trust Allah's timing, because He's never late. He's just aligning your heart with His best for you. The closed doors in life are divine protection, not rejection. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that sometimes Allah closes doors we desperately wanted to walk through. You may have prayed for an opportunity, a relationship, a dream, and just when it felt within reach, it slipped away. In that moment, it's natural to feel rejected, hurt, or forgotten. But what you see as a closed door is often Allah's greatest mercy in disguise. Because while we chase what looks good, Allah protects us from what isn't good for our soul. We must remember that Allah's vision is not limited by time or circumstance. He sees every consequence, every ripple, and every unseen harm that you and I cannot. So, when He blocks your path, He's not saying no to your happiness. He's saying, trust me. I know where this road leads. What we call disappointment is often divine redirection. That lost job, that failed plan, that person who walked away, all of it could be Allah saving you from something that would have broken you in ways you couldn't recover from. Think about it. How many times in your life have you looked back and said, Alhamdulillah, that didn't happen? At one time, you thought your world was falling apart, but later you realized it was actually falling into place. This is the reality of Allah's plan. We can't see the full picture while we're in it, but He can. Every closed door is a part of that perfect design, steering you gently towards something far better than what you had in mind. When Allah closes one door, He never leaves you in darkness. He's simply guiding you toward a different path, one that aligns more closely with your purpose and spiritual growth. The Prophet said, "You must know that what has passed you by was never meant to befall you, and what has befallen you was never meant to pass you by." This beautiful hadith teaches us that there is no rejection in the plan of Allah, only redirection. Nothing escapes His knowledge or His mercy. Closed doors are a test of your tawakkul, your trust. Will you believe that Allah's wisdom is greater than your desire? Will you accept that His denial is actually a form of love? When your heart feels heavy with loss, remind yourself that the one who took something away is the same one who gives life to every blessing. And He promises in the Quran, perhaps you dislike something and Allah makes therein much good. The Surah and Nisa 4:119. There is no coincidence in the life of a believer. Every rejection carries a reason. Every delay hides protection. And every loss conceals mercy. Allah doesn't close doors to punish you. He closes them to protect you from heartbreak, from sin, or from something that would have distracted you from him. So instead of knocking endlessly on doors that won't open, pause and say, Alhamdulillah, Ya Allah, I trust you, because the door he chooses for you will not require you to beg, break, or lose your peace. It will open at the perfect time, effortlessly, and when it does, you'll understand that every no you faced was leading you toward a better. Yes. What looked like rejection was actually Allah's redirection towards something far more beautiful than you could have imagined. True peace begins when you stop resisting Allah's plan and start trusting His wisdom. Every one of us experiences moments where life doesn't unfold the way we imagined. We make plans, we dream big, we set goals. Yet, somehow, life takes a different turn. Something doesn't work out, someone leaves, or a door we were sure would open suddenly shuts. In that moment, frustration creeps in. We question everything. Why me? Why now? Why this? But peace doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from surrendering to the one who does. True peace is not found in control, but in trust. It is born the moment you stop fighting against what Allah has written and start embracing it with faith. When you truly understand that Allah is the best of planners, your heart learns to rest even in the middle of uncertainty. Because you know, even when you don't understand it, His plan is never random. Every delay, every detour, every heartbreak is part of a divine pattern woven with wisdom, mercy, and love. Surrender is not giving up. It's giving in to the will of the one who knows you better than you know yourself. When you surrender to Allah, you're not losing control. You're finally letting go of an illusion, because the truth is, control was never yours to begin with. You were never meant to carry the weight of outcomes. You were meant to walk your path with effort, prayer, and trust, and leave the results to Him. Think of the ocean. When you struggle against its current, you exhaust yourself. But when you let go and float, the water carries you effortlessly. The same is true in life. When you resist Allah's decree, you drown in worry, fear, and confusion. But when you trust Him, you begin to float, not because the storm stops, but because your heart finally does. You start to see that even the waves pushing you away from what you wanted are actually guiding you toward where you're meant to be. The Prophet I said, "How amazing is the affair of the believer! There is good for him in every matter." This hadith reminds us that for the believer, peace is not the absence of trials, it's the presence of trust. You can walk through the darkest valley with calmness in your heart when you know Allah is with you. You can smile through pain when you remember that every hardship carries a hidden gift. When you stop resisting, life becomes lighter. You start noticing beauty even in brokenness, purpose even in pain. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, Wa Allah, guide me. That's the shift from resistance to reliance, from chaos to calm. Because once you trust that Allah's plan is always for your good, even your disappointments become blessings. So if your heart feels restless, remind it of this: Allah's plan is never delayed, never mistaken, never cruel. It's written with the same love that created you. The peace you seek isn't somewhere in the future. It's in this moment when you whisper, I trust you, Ya Allah. That's when your soul finally exhales, not because everything changed, but because you did. When you surrender to Allah's timing, life stops feeling heavy and starts feeling guided. One of the hardest lessons in faith is patience, not the kind that simply waits, but the kind that trusts while waiting. We live in a world where everything feels rushed, instant results, instant success, instant relief. But Allah's plan doesn't operate on human timelines. His timing is sacred, perfect, and deliberate. Every delay you face, every pause in your journey is not a denial. It's divine design. When you surrender to Allah's timing, you stop rushing what He is still preparing. You begin to understand that sometimes Allah slows you down because the path ahead isn't ready, or because you're not ready for the path. Every unanswered prayer, every moment of waiting, every quiet season of your life is Allah shaping you for what you asked for. Because if He gave it too soon, it might destroy you instead of benefit you. It's easy to want control, to think, if only this happened now, I'd be happy. But Allah knows the unseen. He sees the dangers you can't, the heartbreaks you're being protected from, the opportunities that will blossom at the right time. Surrendering to His timing means believing that what's meant for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. That truth alone brings peace deeper than any worldly assurance. Sometimes Allah withholds because He wants to give you something better. Sometimes He delays because He loves hearing your dua. And sometimes He seems silent because He's watching how much you trust Him in the silence. Every waiting season is a spiritual classroom, teaching you sabr, humility, gratitude, and the art of surrender. Look back on your life for a moment. How many times did you beg Allah for something that never came, only to realize later that not getting it was His mercy? How many moments of heartbreak led to your greatest growth? How many closed doors pushed you towards something you never imagined for yourself? That's the beauty of Allah's timing. It always makes sense in hindsight. When you surrender to that truth, life feels lighter. You stop obsessing over outcomes and start focusing on effort. You no longer chase things. You attract them through patience and tawakkul. You begin to move with calmness because you trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Even the delays, even the detours, even the moments of confusion are part of your story, the story written by the one who knows your past, present, and future all at once. True freedom comes when you let go of when and embrace whose plan. You may not know when things will work out, but you know who is in control. That's enough. Because the believer's heart doesn't rest in knowing the details, it rests in knowing the author. So the next time you feel stuck, remind yourself you are not waiting for something to happen. You are waiting with Allah. And when you wait with Him, the waiting itself becomes a form of worship. His timing will never disappoint you. It might not be early, but it will always be right. And when that moment finally comes, you'll look back and say, Subhanallah, He knew exactly what He was doing all along.